What's happening, fam? LAR movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon Kindle Create Space. Link will be in the description box below as usual. Go get it. PayPal link is in the description box below. Also, they asked me to put it up. I put it up. This video, though, is entitled But You Don't Have It That Bad, though. A lot of times I listen to people, and I listen to people's complaints, and not necessarily always complaints, but just their story. And people think they had it bad. And for the vast majority of people who feel like they had it bad, you didn't have it that bad, though. And I understand that your experience is your experience and it's unique because it's yours. But if you've been around the block enough and you're able to compare people's lives, you will come to find out that, you know, what your bad experiences, what you feel is traumatic to you, is maybe just a regular old day for somebody else. And I'm not saying that, you know, just to quote unquote just overlook your experiences, but what I'm saying is people aren't objective and they don't put it in context. And a lot of times people are overly sensitive, you know, because what's happening is you have a lot of people who really don't know struggle, who are really reaching to create that they were struggling. You get what I'm saying? Like, oh, this happened to me and I had it so bad. And then you're looking at them like, that's it? Like, that's it. Like, wait. Because what I'm starting to see more and more of is this ideology where because I had a traumatic experience, I had a bad life. You know what I'm saying? And without taking into consideration, some people had a traumatic life, not a traumatic experience. And I see this all the time, you know. I talked about this a little bit yesterday when I was like, you know, when people go group for groups, and this ain't the oppression Olympics, I'm just saying. When people want to go, you know, my group has been treated bad, they use my group. You know. Look at what's happening to black people. Oh, it's I can't believe it. Look at what happened to me. And it's like, that's not even in the same ballpark. Like, how can you know, hop on the coattails of my experience to make yours, you know, feel worse than it is? Like, you're not getting treated that bad, though. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, I got a ticket. Oh, I'm getting treated like I'm black. No, you're not. I mean, you have to make up a fantasy scenario to make yourself feel like you're getting treated that bad when you're not. You know, generationally, you know, in some ways, as a country, the country's economically gotten better, but the cost of living, not so much. You know, the cost of living has gotten worse. So on the outside, it looks better, but on the inside, people probably had more money back in the day, but people sacrificed more back in the day. So you got people who are acting as though, you know, I'm struggling, but you're really not struggling like people were back in the day. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, the 2018 struggle is synonymous with the 88 struggle, and that's synonymous with the 68 struggle, and that's synonymous, you know, with the 48 struggle. It's like, yeah, you see what I'm going through? No, let me tell you something. That's completely different realities. You know, and for a person who's old enough to live in the 80s and had family who lived in the 60s and 40s, and for some of y'all to think that y'all really going through it, and the stories I could tell you that even I've had and my family has had prior, you're not going through it. And I gotta take this somewhere else while I'm talking about this, because you don't have it that bad though. A lot of the ways the ways you guys come up, and what I mean the way you guys are raised in the areas you guys are raised in. I don't know how many times I've heard people say, "Well, I came up in the hood," and you name the city. It's like, huh? I came up in the hood of Sanford, Connecticut, huh? I came up in the roughest neighborhoods of Boise, Idaho, huh? It's that type of scenario where people, there's poor neighborhoods everywhere, but there are certain areas in America that people know it's really bad, and now everybody's trying to say, where I'm from is really bad, and it's like, comparative to what? Comparative to where? You know what I'm saying? Because some people didn't have it that bad though, and the reason I say that is because, like I said, there are tough areas, tough neighborhoods, and tough areas in every city. But what people wind up doing is, people try to place themselves in the toughest area because people don't really know these cities and places like that. So now people make up a story about their upbringing that didn't really exist. I had it so bad. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Because people, like I grew up on the west side of Chicago. I grew up in Chicago. What part though? See, I was born in New Orleans. I grew up in New Orleans. What part though? You know what I'm saying? You got to qualify that. I lived in the DMV. I grew up in the Hard Street. What part though? And you got to qualify that. What part and when? Because with gentrification, you can grow up in the same neighborhood in two different, in the same neighborhood 20 years apart, and it'd be night and day. But you're trying to say you had it hard, but you ain't really have it that hard. You ain't have it that hard though. Some of you have a lot of family help, but you claim you had it hard, and it's like, you really didn't. You don't even know what it's like to not have family or not have a support system. So how did you really have it that hard? Some of you out here, are complaining about your situations, which you didn't have when you were coming up. And some of you didn't have to wear hand-me-down clothes, or y'all didn't even know what that is, but y'all had it hard. Y'all actually got gifts for Christmas, but y'all had it hard. You know what I'm saying? Y'all actually ate on a regular basis, but y'all say y'all had it hard. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what? Your parents argued. They didn't fight and shoot at each other, but you had it hard. Oh my God, it's so rough. Like, no, you didn't have it that hard though. And I got to get into this part of the topic, because what bothers me, what sickens me, just as a person listening to people, some of y'all are making your lives hard. You're making decisions to make your life hard, to say that you had it hard, which is completely idiotic to me. Because, when you talk to people, oh man, I went through this, I went through that, I did this, I went through this. And it has nothing to do with their upbringing. It has nothing to do with their situation, the situation they was born in. All of their struggle has everything to do with the choices that they made to put themselves in bad situations. So now you want to get some kind of a struggle pass because you put yourself in bad situations, and now you got a story to tell because you stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, really? Like, I know people like that, man. I was in these streets dealing drugs, but you ain't come from a family that required you to even be in a situation to have to deal drugs. You chose to deal drugs. I was in the streets. You didn't come up like that. You wasn't raised like that. You chose to be in them streets. I went to jail. You wasn't raised to be able to go to jail. You chose to go to jail. See, this is not, you didn't struggle. You didn't have it hard. You chose to make it hard. That's two different things. You know what I'm saying? I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with that. No. You're not struggling. You made a struggle. Because a lot of times I'm on the internet and like on social media pages, and I put up like stories, or inspirational stories, or in quotes and things that people that really inspire people. I saw this little video of a little girl who had spinal bifida, and her dad was laying on the floor, and he was waiting on her to walk like across the living room to her, and she was struggling. That's something that's going through. That to me, that's touching. That's heartwarming. This is an older man who wound up getting half his body paralyzed, and he was a diving teacher, and he was struggling to get up to the diving board to dive into the water because he still wanted to dive. That's a struggle. You get what I'm saying? People who come up in circumstances where the world is against them, and they make the best out of a bad situation. That's a struggle. Like a lot of y'all and us don't have it that bad though. Like a lot of a lot of us try to play this game as if, oh man, I had it so rough. Like when I clown about this kind of the street part of the hip hop era where everybody's like, man, I came up in the hood, I had to deal drugs. When you hear the reason behind these people dealing drugs, you can tell if they were struggling or not. I dealt drugs because I wanted to get some clothes. So you dealt drugs because you got tired of being teased. That's why you dealt drugs. So you really wasn't. It really wasn't a struggle. It wasn't like you didn't have lights, gas, food. You just wanted fly clothes. So people didn't tease you. That's your struggle. So you really didn't have it that hard though. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a difference. It's a major difference. When people say they come from other countries. In my country, this is poverty in my country. But wait. But we know that the people who are really poor in your country don't normally make it to this country. So you weren't poor in your country. So you really didn't have it that hard though. So you're using their struggle when you get here to say it's your struggle. I can't respect that. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't have it that hard though. And because a lot of people don't want to admit that they were born a little bit more fortunate than other people. You're trying to say your hard work and perseverance got you to where you at, but truth be told, it was just placement. You were placed in a better, more successful situation, but you want to make it look like you came up from the bottom when you didn't. And truth be, and that posing is aggravating. Because you don't have to be ashamed about where you come from, but at the same time, you don't have to glorify your non-struggle and make it a struggle to make yourself feel as though you accomplished more than you did. So we out, man. We out.